there, and hi everybody. I see some of you have some leaves, so do I. We're going to talk about leaves today. This is called Leaf Lab, and we're going to do some really cool things with leaves. Show me your leaves. Yeah, looks like you got a pretty orange one. I got one too. Yep, leaves are some of my favorite things, especially this time of year in the fall, because look what they can do. They can change colors. We're going to talk about how they do it today. But first, we're going to kind of pretend, well, we are scientists and we are artists. So we're going to be both of those things today. We're going to do some noticing of our leaves. And the first thing we're going to do is look at the leaf parts. So if you have some leaves with you today, take a look at them. I'm going to show you my table camera, because we want to notice a few things about the leaves that I brought. I hope you brought some leaves too. Okay, so when we notice a leaf, it's got different parts. And you can see that I've got a couple of different kinds of leaves, and they're different shapes and different sizes. And what I'm going to do with my big leaf here is I'm going to turn it to the back side, and I'm going to stick it under a piece of paper, and I'm going to do a leaf rubbing with the crayon. So if you don't have anything like that around right now, you can do it later, but I'm going to show you what, you've probably done this before, a little leaf rubbing. When you rub your crayon over the leaf, something really cool happens. And if you can see that on camera, can you see what showed through when I'm rubbing this with a crayon? What do you notice? Whoops, almost. There we go. A little bit more. I can see the veins of the leaf, and I can actually take my leaf out from underneath and take a look at it. So if you have a leaf in your hand, you can run your hands over the veins. Now, veins of the leaf are kind of like our blood vessels. I have a lot of blood vessels in my hands, and you can probably find yours too. Maybe in your wrist. Can you see some blood vessels? Yeah. Leaves have veins and a stem, and that's how they get the moisture and the nutrients up out to the edges of the leaves. So that's a really important part of a leaf, the vein. And if you take a look at different leaves, the veins look a little different. These look like parallel lines. Yep. And these look kind of like a net of spider webs. Yep. And they're all just a little bit different. But okay, so what about shapes? What about shapes? Right here on my table, can you see what I've got? I've got lots of different shapes. The one that's my favorite always reminds me of my hand again, the maple leaf. Do one of you have a maple leaf? What I want you to do is stick it in your hand, and you can see how maybe your fingers are the top shape, and there's the thumb. A maple leaf is kind of the shape of a hand. Now, I was out this morning and I found a leaf that was the shape of a heart. So there's lots of different heart-shaped leaves. And then I picked some grass, and I found some leaves in the shape of a spear. Now, if you have a lot of different leaves with you today, you can do a lot of different leaf rubbings, maybe now or later. And just remember to turn them upside down so the bumpy side is out there. And you can see the parts, the veins show up. And let's see, what else do I have? Oh, I have a leaf that's kind of an oval. And an oval with a point. Oops. And I bet if I looked long enough outside, I would have almost found a circle one. Oh, but one of the ones I want to talk about a little bit today is this one. Look at that. Oak leaf. When I kind of trace the edges of this one. I don't know what shape that it actually is, but each one of those zigzaggy edges is called a lobe. Yep. And so some leaves are kind of oval and long shaped with no lobes. So I'm going to get out another piece of paper. So if you have another piece of paper, we're going to draw some leaf edges. Here's my piece of paper. And I am going to take a look at my leaves and decide what kind of leaf edge I've got. So I'm going to try this one first. Look at that. I've got a marker or a crayon you can use. And when I run my finger over the edge, whoa, it's nice and smooth. So I'm going to draw a smooth line for that leaf. There we go. Now let's see, what else have I got? Oh, when I take a look at the one that I said had lobes, that's really, I'm going to trace around the edges of that leaf. Lobes, how are you guys doing? Okay, oh, let's see what that looked like. There's an edge of a leaf. Whoa. Yep, so scientists notice things, and so do artists. Oh, and here's a really different one. I'm going to hold this up to the camera. Let's see if we can see it better. Okay, can you see how there's a whole lot of zigzaggy, tiny, tiny zigzaggy teeth on that one? Let's see if I can draw that. Do you have a leaf like that? How many leaves did you come up with? So I am, whoa, I'm off camera. Here we go. That's what I'm doing now. I'm doing zigzaggy lines. Oh, and then I have one more. Those were tiny zigzaggy lines. This one, whoa, are bigger tooths. They kind of look like this. So leaves have a lot of differences, but one thing that they're all the same is they help and they make food for the tree. So we are going to do, did you bring some green leaves with you today? We're going to do a thing called a chlorophyll painting. Chlorophyll is inside the leaves and it reacts with the sun and water to make sugar and food to feed the tree. So we are going to see if we can get some chlorophyll out of our leaves and make a painting with it. So I did this one yesterday, and it kind of looks kind of weird, but it was really fun. So if you have a green leaf with you, I hope you do. That's what we're going to do next. I have a clean sheet of paper, and I have some green leaves, and this is how we're going to do it. So I am going to crush up some of my green leaves. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm ripping it. I'm ripping my leaf, and I am going to mush it in my fingers. Or if you have a spoon or something, you can do that too. I'm crushing it, crushing it, crushing it. See how I'm crushing that leaf? And then I'm going to see what happens when I mush it on my paper. Oh yeah, whoops. I'm mushing that leaf all over my paper. Now some of them aren't as juicy as others, so I'm going to try a different leaf. That was the one, but I am just kind of mushing that green leaf around and spreading the chlorophyll, which was inside the leaf. I'm breaking down those leaf cells. So the chlorophyll, which is a chemical that helps and makes food for the tree using the sunlight, and that's why the leaves are green. I'm trying to get some of that chlorophyll out. I'm going to try this. This leaf is a little softer and a little squishier, and I am going to mush that leaf up and see if I can get some chlorophyll out of this leaf. Oh yeah, I can feel it. It feels a little slimy in my fingers, so I'm going to mush it. Oh yeah. Yep. Here we go. Oh yeah, I'm getting some green now. So you can experiment with a lot of different leaves, and I'm spreading this all over my paper. And it's turning my fingers green too. Smush, smush, and that's the chlorophyll, the chemical inside the leaf that reacts with the sun to make food for the tree. Okay, so I did one of those. Oh, I have a soft leaf here too. So I'm going to take part of that and break it apart with my hands and squish it around. Let's see if I can get some more chlorophyll to come out and to paint with. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So it's smushing and smushing and smushing and smushing and smushing and smushing. And chlorophyll is coming out of the leaf. Okay, there we go. Right. There it is. There's now what am I going to do with that? So as an artist, I am taking a look at my painting, my green. How are you guys doing? Were you able to do that? Oh yeah, I see. Great. Good job. So when you've had enough squishing and mushing of the chlorophyll, you'll have sort of some green swirls on your paper. And it's up to us as an artist to kind of turn that into something. What does that look like? Well, this one, I think it looks like a leaf. The way I did it, I didn't. So I'm going to add with marker or crayon, I'm going to add some marks. And here's my leaf edges. And I'm turning it into my chlorophyll painting. I'm turning it into a leaf. Yep. Both scientists and artists notice things. Oh, you know what it needs? It needs some veins. So I'm going to follow some of the swirls and make some veins. There's the midrib vein, and then the other side vein. Okay, so one of the things I really liked is it's really fun to mush up a leaf like that, especially the way it feels. Some of them feel a little slimy and unexpected. There we go. So I turned that one into a leaf. Now this one here, the one I did yesterday, I took a look at that and I think that one, maybe if I turn that into something, that one could be a tree, right? This one is a great big tall tree with a trunk down here and lots of green leafy branches. There we go. So I have a tree. So you can turn yours into anything you like. It doesn't have to be a tree or a leaf. It could be a face. It could be somebody's face. But it's really fun to play around with the chlorophyll inside the leaf. And that's what makes food for the tree. Okay, so we said today that we were going to see why leaves turn colors. And that's our next little project. And I have to tell you, I tried to do it yesterday, and it didn't work out so good for me. But we're going to show you how to do it. And I went out and I collected all the colorful leaves that I could find. So I collected some red leaves, and I collected some orange leaves, woo! And I collected some yellow leaves, and yes, I collected some green leaves too, and I don't have enough camera space to show you all of this all at once. So why do leaves change color? When I take a look at this leaf that's pretty much part yellow and part green, I go, what is happening? What is starting to happen to the tree? Well, it's fall and the days are shorter. There's not as much sunlight. It gets a little colder. So the leaves don't have enough sunlight to react with the chlorophyll. And so the chlorophyll starts to go away. And some of the other colors that are already there in the leaf begin to show up, like yellows and oranges. So your green leaf, the chlorophyll starts to leave and break down, and it leaves behind some of the other colors that are already in the leaves. So here's an experiment that you can do at home, and I'll show you how to do it. And if you brought with you today some things, there we go. Whoops, that's not going to show up on camera too well. I am going to show you, here's what I did. I had some little jars, and I took and chopped up my leaves in tiny pieces or ripped them up, and I put them in jars. So I'm going to set those aside, and I'm going to get out my clear jar. So if you have some little cups, or let's see, where's my little cup? I lost my little cup. How are you guys doing? I am looking for my little cup. I had it earlier today. I can't find it. Set it down. Well, anyway, I also have some rubbing alcohol, and I have, oh, there's my cup. I have a measuring spoon. I have some coffee filters, which I used. And there's my cup. I found it. And I have all those colors of leaves. So for each color of leaf, this is what you're going to do. And we are going to see if we can get the other colors that are in the leaf to come out and show us what they are. So you start with a cup. And like I said, we need some rubbing alcohol, and you pour about 2 tablespoons into a cup. 1, 2, and now here's the fun part. I think I am going to do the orange leaves for us today in the cup. And so I've got my pan of orange leaves, and I am going to cut them up into little tiny pieces. Or you can, you know what? You can cut them with your scissors. There's lots of ways to do this. Or you can rip them up into little pieces with your fingers. That's probably the easiest. Rip them and rip them and rip them and rip them and rip them. And I have wonderful orange leaves here for today in my cup. Now, the thing about this experiment is I can show you how to do it right now, but then you're going to have to wait for a little while for the results to come, because it takes a while for the reaction. So there's a whole bunch of little pieces of leaves, and I am kind of squishing them. Remember how you squish the leaves to get the chlorophyll out? Well, I am squishing these leaves now too. And if you wanted to, you could take a spoon and mush them too. Smash them and crush them. Yep. And then I'm going to put all those pieces inside the alcohol that I put in the cup. And I don't know if that's enough, so I'm going to put some more pieces in there, ripping them up. Rip, rip, rip. Now, I also, because my experiment didn't turn out as pretty as I wanted it to, I was thinking that maybe if I had a leaf in a blender, I would break down that leaf even more. Leaves are full of little cells, and what we're doing right now is crushing them and getting the pigment, which is orange this time, to come loose and show us the color in that leaf, the chemical that's the color in the leaf. Here's some more orange. I'm crushing and crushing and crushing. Okay, so that's probably enough. So then the next step in this experiment is our coffee filters. Oops, my coffee filter got wet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a strip of paper, coffee filter paper, in a nice long strip like this. And then I'm gonna make sure that all those leaves are crushed and mushed and underneath the alcohol. And then I'm gonna stick the edge of that coffee filter paper right down inside. And then, like I said before, then you gotta wait. Now you can wait a couple of hours, and if you want to speed things up, you can do what I did. Is I took and I put my jars in a bigger pan like this. I'll show you a bigger pan, and this is water, and I heated up some water and I put hot water all around my colors. This one was green, this one was red, this one was orange, this one was yellow. And I think it helped a little. I'll show you what happened when I left mine for a couple of hours, because I wanted to see the colors coming up and getting sucked up my coffee filter. So let me show you what happened with mine. And you can see how I tried to get the color out of the leaf. This is called leaf chromatography. So, whoops, I'm going to hold it up to the camera. Now, each one of these were strips of my coffee filter. See that? Okay. And you can see right there, there was a little line. Can you see where this color started to come out? Now, when I saw this experiment, and there's the yellow one, whoop, there's the yellow one, and there's the red one, and there's the green one. The green one came out the most. When I saw this experiment online, the colors came out different and more dark and more like a rainbow for other people that did this experiment. And what I found out was maybe there's a lot of different reasons where mine turned out lighter. I think I used some old alcohol that was expired, and I didn't realize it. So if you have some fresh rubbing alcohol, it might turn out better. Also, if you really mush and smush your leaves as much as you can, you'll get the chemical out of the leaf easier and quicker. So that's how you do leaf chromatography. And I hope you can see what happened. There's my orange, there's my yellow, there's my red, there's my green on my coffee filter. So that it's kind of really fun, but it does take a little bit of waiting. All right, so there's our experiment for today, and we hope you're able to do some of that either along with me or later. And I have one more little thing that you can try. Now, we were talking about parts of a leaf. Well, there's also layers of a leaf. You can see the veins, that's the underside and that's the top side, but in between there, there's some parts and pieces. And a leaf, when it's green and helping make food for the tree, actually breathes. And you can see this if you go outside and get a green leaf from a plant that's still growing. You can get a jar and you can see the bubbles from the leaf actually breathing, and it's called transpiration. So I took my leaf from a plant that was still growing out there, and I stuck it in some water, and then I stuck it in the sunlight. You have to wait for at least until it stops raining. And then I looked, and what I saw was little air bubbles on the underside of the leaf starting to collect. Whoops, you can't see it. Ooh, wait a minute. Anyway, I will turn it back to the larger camera and show it to you. But air bubbles from the leaf actually breathing. So that's a really fun thing to try. You can actually see transpiration from a leaf that's making food for the tree. Okay, I'm turning this back to the bigger camera, and maybe you can see what I mean about looking underneath. See, I put it in a fishbowl, and I'm going to put it in the sunlight later, and you'll actually be able to see air bubbles collect on the underside of the leaf. Very cool. All right. So those are our experiments today. So we're both scientists and artists, and they both notice things. Remember the edges of the leaf? So hope you had fun doing some rubbings and noticing some things about the leaf, and hopefully you'll have some fun doing some of the experiments. So hopefully we'll see you again next time. Something I had never ever seen before. And here's where you get to make a choice. Was it a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex? Okay, so now how are we gonna paint with pine cones? Maybe 3 pine cones. What do you think? Yeah, 3 pine cones. And then the fun starts. What's happening here? Well, when we pull back on our little shooter here, that creates potential energy, and then when I let it fly, it turns that potential energy into kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is the energy of motion, and